Yo, listen. Chris Brown and Usher just destroyed the concert game with prices so nuclear. Fans are straight up going into debt to watch two grown men skate across a stage. I'm talking people maxing out credit cards, selling belongings, crying in queues with 99,000 people ahead of them. And it ain't even the real on sale yet. And Live Nation really thought rolling this out in a recession was a good idea. Brew picked the worst possible moment to pull this stunt. Before we get into it, subscribe. Don't miss it. Nah. Usher Raymond IV. Yeah. Mr. Confessions himself. And Christopher Maurice Brown, the one you'll call Breezy, officially dropped the dates for the R&B Tour on April 14th, 2026, a 33-date co-headlining stadium run produced by Live Nation. The City Card member presale kicked off April 21st through Ticketmaster, with a tour launching June 26 at Empower Field in Denver and wrapping December 11th in Tampa. Live Nation really thought dropping these prices in this economy was a flex. Now let's look at the receipts that show why fans are losing it. Alright, y'all, I need you to sit down for this because the receipts are crazy. Let's start with a fan who went viral doing the side-by-side comparison. In her Instagram reel posted during the City presale, she said word for word, "Last year I went to Breezy Bowl August 12th at MetLife Section 140. We were in row 26 and I got 3 tickets. The total you see at the bottom $835. Then she hit him with this. Look at these prices for the R&B Tour today for the same section. Section 140, row 21 was $781. When I read this, I had to do a double take. Same stadium, same section, higher row, and the price basically tripled per ticket? Nah, Brew, you can't tell me that's normal. Now check this quote from a Threads user who got into the City presale firsthand. She posted, DC Friday night tickets range from $150 upper level to $2,100 VIP. My same exact lower level tickets would double for the Saturday night show. Bro said what? $2,100 for a VIP seat. That's the dumbest flex I've ever heard. And the same seats cost double on night 2? That's textbook dynamic pricing working overtime on your wallet. Then there's this Facebook post from April 15th, 2026, that pretty much set the internet on fire. The caption read, Chris Brown is hosting a meet and greet where fans pay $1,111 just to see and take pictures with him. The tour sold out in 6 hours, in 36 cities. $1,100 for a photo, not a private concert, not a dinner, a photo. When I saw this, I was like, nah, we done lost it as society. Delia from the concerts page posted a warning on Threads before the pre-sale even opened. She said straight up, please do not buy tickets for Chris Brown and Usher on any reseller sites. If Ticketmaster hasn't released them, they are not available. She was basically begging you all not to get scammed because scalpers were already posting fake listings days before City presale even opened. That's where you know the hype is out of control. And the Reddit post that really put the nail in the coffin? A user dropped this on Chris Brown. I paid $118.40 last year. I was in section 539 row 20 seat 3. I see people online saying the prices will spike because it's going on tour with Usher. That's the same nosebleed section this year going for over $300 according to replies in that thread. When I read this, I had to rewind and reread it 3 times. The upper deck, y'all, tripled in price in 1 year. Bro really doubled his fan base and thought, let me triple the prices while I'm at it. That's a move of someone who knows the algorithm will protect him regardless. Now that we got the quotes, let's connect the dots. Here's what nobody is piecing together yet. The tour announcement, it dropped on April 14th, 2026. The City presale, April 21st, 2026. That's 1 week from announcement to opening the wallet floodgates. 1 week. Brew. Usually artists announce a tour, build suspense for 3 or 4 weeks, and let the demand cook. Not these two. Live Nation rushed this thing out like a food truck at 2 a.m., and that timing alone tells you somebody needed this bag fast. Remember that Breezy Bowl comparison? Dropped less than 9 months after the original Breezy Bowl XX run wrapped, and Breeze's 2025 tour already grossed $295.5 million with 1.98 million tickets sold, ranking the 4th highest grossing tour by a black male musician in history. So the man made basically $300 million last year alone, and is back 9 months later charging 3 times the price? Any smart advisor would have told him to sit back, count the money, and let fans breathe. But Live Nation apparently doesn't have real advisors. And Usher's side of the timeline? His past, present, future tour wrapped late 2024 with 1.1 million tickets sold and 62 sold-out shows. So we got two artists who just milked their own solo fan bases dry, and now they're combining forces to double dip from the same exhausted wallets. That's not a tour. That's a tag team wrestling move on your bank account. Now here's the part you didn't notice. The Atlanta date at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, November 7th to November 8th, 2026. 2 nights. Detroit at Ford Field, 2 nights. And 7 new dates got added after the initial announcement once demand blew up. That's when you know Live Nation miscalculated. They saw demand, panicked, and added shows instead of lowering prices. That's terrible strategy. Brew. Here's the behind the scenes nobody's talking about. Live Nation is the same company currently fighting a jury verdict that could shake up the entire ticketing industry. So right when monopoly pressure is turning up, they decide to flex on consumers with record-breaking pre-sale prices? That's checkers while the culture is watching chess. Somebody at corporate really thought nobody would connect those dots. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Now check this out, nobody's talking about the actual pricing structure. That one specific phrase from the Reddit thread, nosebleeds are over $300 and floor seats are starting at $1K, that line is a smoking gun. Because here's what $300 nosebleeds actually means in industry terms. Live Nation is using what's called all-in platinum pricing, where every section gets a premium label. There's no cheap seats. Every seat is special. That's not an accident. That's a pattern designed to eliminate affordability as an option. And Live Nation really thought fans wouldn't catch that? That's embarrassing. Now zoom into the Ford Field data from the Instagram post that hit 3 million views. Tickets can range anywhere between $142 in the absolute nosebleed section at Ford Field to as much as $3,037 to stand. Freeze on that word. Stand. $3,000. To stand. Not to sit. Not to eat. Not to meet anybody. To stand on a general admission floor. That one word, stand, is a tell. It reveals that Live Nation priced standing room higher than most people's entire rent. If Live Nation had half a brain, they would have known putting stand in $3,037 in the same sentence was gonna create receipts forever. Then there's the queue forensics. The viral TikTok showed one fan at number 75,000 some change in the queue, and she still couldn't check out because tickets kept disappearing at the cart stage. That specific behavior, where seats are available until you click buy, that's not a bug. That's dynamic repricing in real time. The system is literally jacking the price up between your cart click and your checkout click. That's the problem with Live Nation setup. It doesn't read the room, it reads your browser. And here's the subliminal nobody caught. Look at the tour's official naming convention. Not Chris Brown and Usher. It's listed as starring Usher Raymond and Chris Brown on Ticketmaster. Usher's full government name goes first. Chris Brown's stage name comes second. That billing order is calculated. It's the promoters positioning Usher as a legitimate headliner to absorb some of the controversy drag on Chris, while still using Breezy's rabid fanbase as the engine. That's a masterclass in reputation laundering. And Chris Brown really signed off on being billed second? That's where he lost the plot. One more forensic detail. The B stage entry add-on price at $755.40 from one verified listing. A B stage is typically a smaller secondary stage artists walk to during shows. Adding a $755 charge just to be near the B stage is a kind of fine print gouging fans won't notice until they've already paid. That specific line item, B stage plus entry, that's a hidden shot at consumers disguised as a VIP perk. Now let's see how the media covered this. Alright, let's see how the media spun this one because the framing is wild. Newsweek framed it as a controversial story, writing that reaction has been swift and emphasizing the personal history baggage both artists bring to the stage. They leaned into the moral panic angle more than the economic one. The Economic Times, they framed the story as financial panic, reporting that social media users reacted with concern, saying tickets to the Usher Chris Brown tour could cost $1 million or at least $500. See the difference? Newsweek made it about scandal. Economic Times made it about wallets. Remember those threads posts from earlier? Economic Times framing matches what real fans were saying, not the drama-baiting Newsweek went with. Then there's the Mirror, who framed it as a betrayal narrative, running the headline, Usher not to be trusted after announcing tour with Chris Brown as fans rage. So the Mirror basically blamed Usher for the whole situation. That's a reach? Brew. Usher signed a contract. He didn't set the ticket prices. Live Nation did. Variety took the cleanest angle, just running it as a business story. 33-date stadium tour kicks off on June 26. No editorial spin, just facts. Rated R&B went similar, emphasizing the sold-out precedent from Usher's past, present, future run. Now some Chris Brown fans are coming out saying this is just haters mad at success. Over on Reddit, there's a whole thread titled Chris Brown fans disliking Usher for touring with Chris Brown defending the pricing. But here's why that doesn't hold up. Remember that city pre-sale queue data showing 99,000 people in line? Those aren't haters. Those are paying customers complaining about getting priced out. Some Chris Brown supporters are reaching trying to defend a $3,037 floor seat. If you still think the pricing is reasonable after all the receipts we just went through, you're just biased, or you work for Live Nation. But here's what nobody is saying. The mainstream narrative is telling you this is a simple supply and demand situation. 2 huge stars, limited stadium seats. Prices go up. Blah, blah, blah. Here's what they won't tell you. This ain't a concert tour. This is a calculated economic extraction event during a recession, and Live Nation is counting on your psychological weakness to pull it off. Think about it. The CDC and Bankrate data from 2026 confirms that nearly 40% of Americans have less than $500 in cash savings. 40%. That's almost half the country living one car repair away from collapse. And this is the moment Live Nation decides to charge $1,500 for a lower-level seat? Nah, that's not coincidence. That's targeting. They know desperate people make emotional purchases. They know once-in-a-lifetime language triggers FOMO. They know nostalgic R&B fans will hit that buy now button even if it means eating ramen for 3 months. Live Nation is playing chess with your dopamine, and most fans don't even realize they have pieces on the board. Here's the angle nobody in the media has the guts to touch. A Century Foundation study recently confirmed there's now a 50% chance any American with a credit card can't pay their full monthly bill. Half of all credit card holders can't pay their statement. And another consequence report showed Americans are now comfortable going into debt just to attend concerts, spending an average of $300 per month on live events. So what Live Nation is really selling isn't seats. It's permission to self-destruct financially while feeling good about it. Live Nation is a predator, and the industry is handing them the keys to your credit limit. And here's where I got to go hard. The celebrity entertainment industrial complex is repeating the same playbook Ticketmaster ran on Taylor Swift fans in 2023. Remember that? Swifties bankrupted themselves. Then Beyoncé's Renaissance did it. Then Drake's It's All a Blur. Now it's Chris and Usher's turn. We're watching the same pattern. Nostalgic megatour, artificial scarcity, dynamic pricing, queue manipulation, platinum upsells, recycled every 12 to 18 months. It's a losing cycle for consumers. And if you don't recognize the pattern, you're on the losing side of history. Real talk, this isn't about Chris being controversial. This isn't about Usher being too good to tour with him. This whole media narrative about which fan base is more morally acceptable is a distraction from the actual crime, the prices. You're being manipulated into arguing about who deserves to be on stage while Live Nation quietly picks your pocket in the background. That's the real story. That's why you won't hear it on CNN, MTV, or ET. Because Live Nation literally owns the advertising space on those outlets. The media representing OLD money that needs your broken entertained. This is the old guard's desperate attempt to stay profitable in an era where streaming already killed their margins. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Neither Chris nor Usher is fully the villain here. The man behind the curtain is Live Nation Ticketmaster, a monopoly that's currently under DOJ scrutiny and just lost a major jury verdict. They are puppets, and the promoters are pulling strings. The industry needs this tour to succeed at these prices to prove to shareholders that concert inflation is sustainable. If this tour flops, the whole stadium pricing model collapses. That's why they are pushing so hard. That's why pre-sale seats disappeared in 6 hours across 36 cities. They manufactured panic on purpose. Live Nation is playing psychological warfare, and most fans are already lost. And that's the truth they won't tell you. So what happens next? Scenario 1, the most likely outcome, the bubble bursts. Here's what's most likely to happen. When the general on sale opens after the city pre-sale wraps, we're gonna see massive secondary market flooding. Scalpers are gonna panic dump tickets when they realize the demand at $1,500 floor seat prices is not there outside the diehard fans. Resale platforms like StubHub and SeatGeek are gonna show drastic discount by mid-July, right before the Denver kickoff. And Live Nation is gonna look desperate scrambling to maintain face value while their own platforms resell tickets for 40% less. The silence from Live Nation's PR team is gonna hurt them more than any consumer report could. Mark my words, you're gonna see $300 nosebleeds selling for $120 2 weeks before each show, which means every fan who bought a pre-sale, they took the biggest L of the year. That's what happens when Live Nation plays chess with people who can't afford the board. Scenario 2, alternative path, Usher gets a blame, Chris walks clean. Now, if the PR narrative continues the way the Mirror framed it, Usher's gonna absorb all the fan backlash. Watch what happens when early shows get mixed reviews about short sets or lip-syncing rumors. The media is gonna pile on Usher specifically because it's a respectable one they expected better from. Chris Brown fans already conditioned to defend him through anything. Usher fans are not. They are gonna turn on him fast. By the Chicago show in late August, you'll see think pieces titled "Did Usher Sell His Legacy?" popping up on Complex and XXL. Usher is not ready for what's coming if the narrative tips that way. The mainstream media will use him as a sacrificial lamb, while Live Nation walks away unscathed with the money. Bruce signed up for this and didn't read the fine print. Scenario 3, industry impact, the last mega R&B tour of its kind. Looking at the bigger picture, this is going to be the moment that defines whether Stadium R&B Tour survive past 2027. If this tour grosses under $250 million net, which is very possible given that Breezy Bowl alone did $295 million solo, Live Nation is going to scale back every co-headlining stadium package in development. Kali Uchis, SZA, Bryson Tiller, Summer Walker, those rumored stadium plays going to get downgraded to arenas. 5 years from now, people will look back at the R&B tour as either the peak or the collapse of the stadium R&B experiment. The culture is moving toward intimate listening shows, tiny desk appearances, and live streaming events. Live Nation is watching the industry move on without them and pricing their way out of the next generation of fans. That's a generational L they can't recover from. Whatever happens, one thing's clear, Live Nation already lost a trust battle. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering the real story, smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss when we expose what everyone else is too scared to say. Ring that bell for notifications. And if you want more truth bombs like this, click on one of these videos next. Trust me, you'll want to see what we found.